Sorry. Okay. So I've posted in our chat there, you can see that there's a link to a Google form. And what that is the Google form where you can fill out to let us know where you're at in your survey or in your visioning process. I would really appreciate it if each club could at least have one person fill that out. I know I've had about 22 clubs so far respond, and that's a little less than half of you. So if you haven't done it or somebody from your club hasn't let us know where you're at, if you could just click on that and do it really quick. It's like 4 questions, and it's really just to figure out where you're at in the visioning process and how much help you need from the facilitators. So that would be fantastic. If you have questions, I'll wait till the end and we'll get some questions then. I'm also going to put a link on here to an updated version of the calendar that Kelly sent out about a month ago. We haven't had a lot of changes, but we have had just a few changes. So that'll be on there as well if you want to update that. And I guess with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to our first speaker, which is Mr. Chuck Rutenberg. He is our district foundation chair. He's also a past district governor. So Chuck, you should have the ability to share your screen as well. So. I saw him come in maybe. Oh, you're on mute, Chuck.
Can you hear me now?
You.
Thank you. You know, technology is great when it's working right. I just want to go over a little bit what I'm going to talk about tonight. I know a lot of you do know, maybe not all of you, that there have been changes in the way the foundation is going to fund our grants in the future. And I want to go through that quickly, what the 4 changes are, and then answer any questions you have and talk a little bit about why they made those changes. And then probably go from there into a little bit about talking about the importance of our giving to the foundation. Talk a little bit about grants training for clubs in order to do grants this year. We've made a big change. And just a couple other minor things to go over at the end of that. So let me see if I can share my screen here with you. Can everybody see that? Got 2 screens going here. I got to figure out where the other screen is that I need. Okay, there we go. So this year we made 4 changes. And these will take place as of July 1st for the most part. The first one is how we do transfers to Polio Plus. And this really doesn't affect all of you, but I know you saw the letters. I just want to go over what happens at the end of every quarter, or at the end of the 4th quarter every year. Typically, we get the foundation gets together or sends out an email to the district governors and the foundation chairs and says, hey, we're way short of our match with the Bill Gates Foundation. So, oh, this is point 1 here. Okay, so what they do is they come back and they say, will you take some of your leftover DDF and transfer it to Polio Plus? And in the past, they matched that dollar for dollar towards the Gates match, and now they're only going to do that 50 cents on the dollar. We typically do that at the end of the year. If we have leftover DDF, we get together with the I got too many things going on here. We get together with the grants committee and see where they think we're going to end up as far as leftover DDF, and we think we're going to have left. We may transfer some to Polio Plus. I think last year we did $10,000 to Polio Plus. So that's the first change, and it really doesn't affect what you're doing at the club level. The second change, oh, here's where we are here. This just gives you an idea of the match that's been going on every year towards our grants, our DDF. The second change is they're going to reduce how much they match towards your global grants. You can see in the past, we've matched dollar for dollar. I think you have done grants, you know that you got a dollar for dollar match from the World Fund. You're going to get an 80% match instead of a 100% match now, beginning July 1st. Now, one of the things you have to keep in mind is that, and we've looked at the grants that are in the pipeline, if you've applied for a grant and it's not approved at this point, it can still get 100% funding if it's approved by the end of June. If it's not approved by the end of, I can tell you by the end of May, we think that World Fund is going to run dry by the end of May, so they probably won't approve any in June. I don't think any of the grants we have going that's an issue for, but let's say you had one that you had written up and submitted and it doesn't get approved by the end of June, you would have to pull that back and rewrite it with a different funding of 80% instead of 100%. So that's something to keep in mind if you find yourself in that position. One of the things that we always talk about is what are the operating expenses of the foundation and where do they get their money? They use the money for fundraising and the general administration of the foundation. And the way they fund that is the investment returns that we've always talked about. If you give to the annual fund, that money goes into investments for 3 years and they get the returns on that investment. They also get earnings from the endowment fund, and they also get 5% of the cash contributions that go towards the annual fund every year. And I've heard a lot about the change. They said they were going to change this. And I want to show you this because people say, well, they're going to take more money away from us. If you look at on the left-hand side, what we currently do, for every $100 that goes into the annual fund share contribution, it's split 50-50. 50% of it goes to our district designated funds or DDF. Out of the other 50%, they take $5 for operating expenses and the 45 goes to World Fund. In the future, they're going to take that $5 operating expense off the top and $47.50 go to World Fund and $47.50 to district designated funds. So we're not getting any less money than we did in the past. It's just split a little bit differently. And that's, I want everybody to understand that because a lot of people have said, well, we're going to get less money from the foundation now. We won't because of this right here. And then the fourth one is limited DDF rollovers to 5 years. This is an interesting concept for me. We typically have very little DDF left at the end of the year. Apparently, a lot of districts have a lot of money left over and they just keep rolling it from year to year to year to year. And 5 years from now, they're gonna make them go back and either give that to another district or give it to Polio Plus or get it off the books somehow. They're not going to be allowed to keep rolling it forward. Again, that doesn't affect you and it doesn't affect our district because we don't really operate that way. So I want to open that up for any questions on any of this that we did here on the funding for that. I have to find you again. Here we go. So does anybody have any questions about that? If you do, raise your hand and I'll try to address anything that you have. Sheree, if you could look for me for people.
Sure.
No questions. You guys are easy.
I'm not seeing anybody waving their hand furiously, so I think they're good.
They're easy. Okay. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and really this is, I'm going to kill this for a second and I may go back into it. Let me get rid of this. Funding for the annual fund every year. You know, this is, you can see why it's really important because the money we get to do the work of Rotary comes from the money we give to the annual fund every year. And I want to share with you a couple of things that I saw today that are a little bit disappointing. I'm looking at a report as of yesterday or as of today that shows the number of president-elects who are giving to the annual fund. Now, I have to tell you, I believe in leadership by example. Right now, this year, only 38% of the people on this call as PEs are actually giving to the foundation this year. And I really hope that you can think about what we do for Rotary and open your hearts and give something to the foundation and show a little leadership for your club. Even worse than that, your foundation chairs, from what I can see, only 45% of the people who are asking your club for money for the foundation are giving to the foundation themselves. And so I'm asking all of you that as you have a foundation chair, that you talk to them and ask them to show some leadership and also give to the foundation. It doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, really $100 a year is $2 a week. That's not a lot of money. But I want you to look at your own situation and decide what you can give. And every dollar you give helps the foundation and helps somebody in the world. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but I'd like for you guys to take a look at that and talk to your foundation chairs. Well, I think I had one other one there. Maybe, no, that's it. Okay, so for grants training, this in the past for you president-elects, I want you to know, typically at PETS, we did training for everybody, all the president-elects before they left PETS, because you had to be trained, you have to be trained to use, to get a grant, a global grant or a district grant. We decided this year that doesn't make a lot of sense. First of all, not every club does a grant. So people who don't do a grant don't have to go through training. The people who are going to do the grants, we're going to do online training. And so let me just bring this up. I might have lost it, so I'll have to, give me a second. We're going to change this to online training for the president-elects and for the primary people in your clubs that do grants. And I'm going to try and bring up the district website real quick. And I'm going to confuse myself. One of the problems with having too many screens. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing the screen here. Okay, can everybody see the district website there? No, you can't. Let me try this again.
There it is.
You can see that.
Yep, we
You
see
see
it.
that? Okay. So when it comes time to do your training, and you don't have to do this right now, you can wait until you're ready to do a grant. I just want to warn you, if you do that and somebody submits a grant before you do the training and your grant person does the training, that your grant won't go through. So if you're doing grants, I suggest you do this. If you look on this and you go up to here under the training tabs, and you look at grant qualification training, I'm going to click on that. That brings up here a description of what you have to do. And basically on the left-hand side here, there's a slide presentation you have to watch. You download this club qualification questionnaire that asks you questions about the slide presentation. You fill it in and you send it to the district grants chair. And here you have a guide that you have to fill out. You have to sign an MOU. This is a guide for it. I'm going to ask Robin for a second. By the way, Robin Steele on here is our district grants chair. Robin, do you know where to find the actual MOU? Because I couldn't find it today.
I will send that to you after you have answered those questions and sent those to me. Then I'll send you the MOU. The president and the president-elect will need to sign that MOU.
So that's a memorandum of understanding. All your presidents in the past have signed it. You probably have too. Last year as PE, maybe not. But that qualifies you to do grants. Now I'm going to go back up here because what I want to show you is under training, you have district grant training and global grant training. And there's a lot, I'm not going to go through this, but there's a lot of information on these pages about how to do a district grant and how to do a global grant, and how to apply for that. There's some videos here on a global grant. So there's a lot of good information on the district website under training. Robin was going to update those. I'm not sure if you're done with that, Robin, but okay, good. So they are updated. One other thing I'm going to show you, because one of the things I want to talk about is, it's really important for your foundation chairs to every month send in the money that you collect for the foundation. I've gotten in trouble. We've had people in our club send an email and say, why, I've been given every month and now it's January and I haven't seen any money go into my foundation account. That's the last thing you want to have somebody say to you when they're given to the foundation. And so this, if you look under this tab for training, there's a foundation committee training. And over here, there's on the left, you click on that and it shows you exactly how to put in, or how to send the money in for the fund, or this is how to set your goal, which I also want you to do. I want you to go in and set your goal in Rotary Central and Club Central. This is how you do it there. As far as if you're having trouble not knowing how to send in the money to the foundation, all you have to do is call me and I'll help walk you through that. That's what I'm here for, to help you and help your foundation chair. I know in the past, a lot of people did not have foundation chairs. So if you don't have a foundation chair listed in Club Central, expect a call from me. I'm going to be talking to you about a foundation chair. There's also a number of clubs, I have to tell you right now, and we're in March, that haven't given anything to the foundation as a club yet. So one of the things I'm going to do is, if you haven't been given money to the foundation, I'm going to be calling the club president and the foundation chair to find out if you're just not submitting it, or if people aren't giving to the foundation, and if so, why not? What can I do to help everybody promote the foundation? So that's going forward. Just remember that before you do a grant, you have to go through that training, and it's all online. Nobody's going to prompt you. If you forget, you'll get prompted when somebody puts in for a grant and we say, sorry, you can't have it because you didn't do your training yet. The one last thing, how am I doing here? Oh my God, I'm doing good. We are having, I don't know if you remember last year, we had an international grants night that Robin ran, where they showed, you showed different projects that were going on using grants. And we are planning on doing that again this October. It's on the calendar. So mark that on your calendar if you want to come in and have some of your grants shown to people and show people what you're doing. Other than that, Sheree, I don't think I have anything else for tonight. Unless anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer any grant question or any foundation question.
Can I just add one thing, Chuck?
Yes.
Another thing we've changed this year, everyone, you've always had to enter your district grants and your global grants onto matchinggrants.org to request DDF. This year, we will not post your entry, either your district grant or your global grant entry, until both the president and the lead for that grant have watched the video on the training menu. So if it's a district grant, you got to watch the district grant video. If it's a global grant, watch the global grant video. And I'll mention all those videos are still Jim Epstein, our past wonderful district grants chair. I've got big shoes to fill. So there may be a few little things that refer to past years, but all the information is still the same.
So that'll be the catch. If you forget to do it, the grants committee will be coming back and saying, hey, nice grant, but sorry, we can't enter it because the president and the foundation chair haven't, or foundation person or the grants person haven't done the training yet. Now, I will tell you this. I have given Robin the option to forgo the training for your grants people. If they've been doing grants for a while, they've gone through the training. We're not going to make them go through it again. Okay. Presidents don't have to do it every year. So any questions for anybody?
It looks like everybody is good, which means that we will turn it over now to our amazing membership chair, which is our district governor nominee, Miss Lee Vera Nelson. Lee, would you like to tell us about membership?
Hey, Sheree, there's questions in the chat for
Oh, if there's questions for Chuck, let's go ahead and get those answered.
Are there?
I think that we answered them all via the chat. So if you have a question in the chat and you don't feel like I answered it.
Well, here's one that Mark talked about. And then Mark, you asked about first qualified, is there a hierarchy? qualify first, then go through global, go through the district. First, I would say qualify, and then go through if you're going to do only global grants, you don't have to do district grant training. If you're just going to do district grants, you don't have to do global grant training. So based on what you're going to, if you want to do both, then you do both, but there's no hierarchy for those two. I would just do the qualify first, make sure you get that out of the way.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else?
Is the training a yearly requirement? It's a yearly requirement for the presidents, Sarah, and only for grants people who haven't been writing grants before. Okay, there you go. I'm just want to tell you, if anybody has questions later that you think about, email me, because I'm happy to respond. Again, I'm here to help you guys and your foundation chairs. Okay, Lee.
Thanks, Chuck. So I want to take a little bit of time tonight to talk about the district membership committee, and then go into opportunities for us as a district to begin to grow our membership. I don't know if any of you saw the email that I asked Kelly to send out in the early part of January, asking folks if they would like to take an opportunity to participate at the district level with district membership, particularly asking those people who have a passion for membership to get a hold of us so we could start forming a committee. I was really fortunate to get 8 people signing up to be part of this committee. And the goal for membership for this year was to turn things around, not necessarily, make a significant overall change in membership, although I wouldn't have said, no, let's not do that. But I did want us to change our strategy at the district level for membership. And that started with creating a committee of people who have a diverse background in membership, a diverse background in Rotary, but all had a common goal of, let's do some different things here in the district to try to grow our membership. So we ended up with 8 people from a variety of clubs, some in Colorado, in Greeley, in Fort Collins, some in Wyoming, in Casper and Cheyenne, with varieties of experience. One of the members, James Smith, who I'm so excited that he's part of our committee, is a very new member to Rotary. And so he's got fresh eyes, and he has come up with some amazing ideas that we'll be talking about. I'll give you a little bit of a preview of what he's done. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. We've got James from Greeley, Teresa Black, John Griffith, Kirk Magstad, Richard Burton, Ruth Lutz, Ryan Jackson, and Ted Cluett. So you can see that we've got quite a bit of a variety here of especially strong people on this committee. I spoke to each one of them and asked them what were their expectations for becoming a member of this district membership committee. And I got a variety of answers. And the one I liked the most was from James. And he said, I really don't think you want me to be on this committee because I've only been in Rotary for 3 months. And I looked at him and I said, James, you are exactly who I want to be on this committee, because we need fresh eyes. We need to know what it's like to come into this district as a brand new member. And he has delivered some amazing ideas. So the strength from, as I'm mentioning, the strength from this committee comes from their varied backgrounds and their experiences. We have assistant district governors, we have past club presidents, we have a club president-elect, as well as a brand new Rotarian in James. And we'll be talking about some of these new concepts that we've developed in session 3. The next step I want to go over is the process that I went through looking for a strong leader to work with this amazing committee when my term as the district membership chair ends on July 1st of this year. And I didn't have to look too far. I am really pleased to announce that John Griffith will be the district membership chair starting in the 2021-22 Rotary year. And I know Cherie is excited to work with John. He's got a lot of great ideas. He's got a passion for membership. And the work that we've done so far with John, he's come up with some really great ideas. A little bit of background on John, if you don't know him too well, he was the 1920 Casper Club president. And during that year, his club received the President's Citation Award at the gold level. He's going to be attending session 3, and he's going to be introducing some of these concepts. And I'm really excited about this. I know we are all, and many of the club members are tired of Zoom. It's, you know, this is how we've had to survive as Rotary clubs. We know that there's going to be some challenges in getting information out to people, but we've come up with a really good concept, and I'm excited for John to be able to announce this. So please don't miss session 3, because you'll be missing out on a really cool announcement. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was growing Rotary here in our district. And I know you've all heard about the need for growing membership. It has been on the list of objectives, in fact, very high on the list of objectives for Rotary for a number of years. And I want to give you a little bit of background about our district. Membership started trending down in January of 2020, which was not a big surprise because of the restrictions due to the COVID pandemic. For the following 6 months, though, we took probably the most significant drop in membership that I had been able to research in the last 12 years of this district. We ended up the year with a net loss of members of over 120, which was by far the biggest loss that we had that I've been able to find in the last 14 years. And, you know, a lot of it was due to COVID for a variety of reasons. You know, some people had to move. They got their jobs were relocated. Sometimes it was a financial issue because of the restrictions that were occurring in our district. There's a number of reasons that this happened. I am really glad to see a trend of beginning trends of the recovery. We have gone up in, I mean, we're still at a net loss, but that has dropped to about, we're getting close to about mid 80s. But just to give you guys kind of an idea of where we've been over the last 12 years, we have had at the end of the year, a net growth one year. And that was, I believe, back in 2007, where we actually grew our overall district membership. Generally, we average about anywhere from a net loss year to year of somewhere between 35 and 50 members. And 50 was usually pretty high for us. So that net loss of almost 130 in that last Rotary year was really significant. We are still at a position right now where a net loss of in the lower 80s is really large, but we are starting to trend up, and I'd like to see that continue. One of the things that we are doing to help us get back on the upward trend is we are looking at more flexibility with clubs, and I'll talk about that. But I also want to share an initiative that has been fairly successful in Rotary, and we have committed to starting a passport club. And I'm really excited that the current president of that passport club, once it's chartered, is on this call. especially if the slideshow doesn't work, I know she can fill in for me, that's probably about the best backup that a project manager could ever ask for. So I'm going to start this slideshow. It's going to give you an idea about why we are talking about a passport club. And when, when the slideshow is over, I'll go through some details about the passport club, and I'll post some information in the chat that you can copy. And so you can contact any of the members or the president and the vice president of the passport club if you have questions, especially if you have ideas of someone that you know who maybe was touched by Rotary, whether they were in RILA, there might have been a member of a club and then had to leave. Anyone who has had an experience with Rotary, or even somebody that you said, hey, you should join our club, and they weren't able to. This passport club might be something that would be a club that they could join. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get this started up here, I hope. Okay. Oops, I should have gone through and stopped this so I can get the slideshow activated.
You don't want to put it in slideshow mode until after you share it.
Now, yeah, I've got it on the right tool now, because that was the problem. I couldn't see it because of the bar that was in the way. There we go. Come on. There we go.
Hello, my name is Robin Smith, and I'm here today to share some information on an exciting addition to the District 5440 family. But first, will you join me for a visit to Anytown?
As Rotary, we often ask ourselves, how do we grow personally, professionally, and organizationally? The answer is simple. To grow Rotary, we need more Rotary clubs. Let's use Anytown as an example. Anytown is a city of 100,000 people and home to one proud Rotary club. But there are hundreds of other people of action, just like us, who are uniquely qualified to become Rotary members. They share the same drive and represent the values and fundamentals of a Rotary member. So why aren't they members? Well, the current club meets on Monday. There are leaders in Anytown who can't meet on a Monday. By excluding this segment, the potential members in Anytown has shrunk. Now consider, what if the meeting is at noon on Monday? There are people who can meet on Monday, but can't meet at noon. So now we have a smaller audience for Rotary in Anytown. Of the remaining group, some aren't interested in a club with a sit-down lunch and speakers. They're passionate about service, but aren't interested in a traditional club experience. And that is okay. The Rotary Club of Anytown isn't doing anything wrong. It just doesn't appeal to particular segments of the community. And if we're going to thrive for years to come, we must adapt and embrace change. In Anytown, we have an opportunity to expand because potential members are everywhere. More than half of the eligible people are prospective Rotary members, waiting to make a bigger impact in their community. But what Rotary Club exists for them? If Anytown creates new clubs at new times and new places, the hidden potential for Rotary will be revealed. As people of action, we must broaden our reach and provide opportunities to all leaders in the community. Together, all of us can grow Rotary.
Let's think about this for a moment. Is there someone in the past who left Rotary and you were thinking, who was? Have you ever had a young neighbor or colleague who you thought they would make a great Rotarian, but they're so busy, or they have a young family, or they may have financial barriers? Over the past decade, flexibility and innovation have become the mantra of Rotary International. And for this reason, we are excited to announce the addition of the District 5440 Passport Club. This is an opportunity to include these individuals and expand any field. We are fully embracing the new Rotary Passport Club concept in our district. Our District 5440 Passport Club is flexible, affordable, and accessible for those needing an alternative from a traditional Rotary club. It's a new on-ramp for engaging or re-engaging with Rotary. Meetings will be remote once a month. Members can also attend a second project-specific meeting.
Hey, Lee,
Yeah.
Members can live anywhere or be traveling extensively. Members will have a passport to visit any other club around the world, or any Rotarian can also visit our passport club.
you can't really, it's jumping all around.
Passion for projects. Members can participate in any community service project in our district or help implement any district or global grant projects of interest. Let's take a moment and reflect. Can you think of someone who may have been touched by Rotary in the past but is not a member? A family member who participated in the service project with you working to lead. Maybe someone who has left Rotary. Perhaps a scholarship recipient or a Peace Fellow. What about those that were involved in RILA or Young RILA, either as participants, parents, or junior council? Can you think of exchange students or families that hosted them? Maybe even people you've invited to Rotary and they said no at the time. Would you be willing to share information with them about this passport opportunity? If so, please send them to the website shown here, where they can simply Google the 5440 passport, or have them contact Robin or Julie with questions or for more information. We would love to invite them to one of our upcoming Get to Know Passport Zoom sessions. Although the structure of passport clubs may be different, the underlying reason people become Rotarians is the same. Rotarians are dedicated people who want to make a difference in their communities and around the world. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if the slideshow is not doing well. I could hear it on my end. Hopefully you all heard what this slideshow was covering, because there's a lot of really good information in there. I have information. Yeah.
It was difficult to hear. Is that something we could have Kelly put up on the district website so people can go ahead and listen to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Or, I don't know, Sheree, do you have a distribution list that you've been sending these meetings out to? I could even just send it out to them.
Yeah, when we send out the email for the recording, we can send it.
Okay, perfect. So I'll send
Will
that.
you email
to you.
it?
Yeah, I
Yeah, that'd
will.
be great.
I'll email it to you. So one of the
Perfect.
things that I want everybody to take away from this slideshow is the concept of flexibility. There's a lot of options that we have here within the district to be a little bit more flexible, have some options that will help people be able to come back to Rotary or even join Rotary. And part of that was presented in this slideshow, but there's other options that we have as well that I want to just touch on briefly, because then I know I need to hand off to the next person. One of the things that we have been able to start up, and several clubs have done this, is a reduced dues option for club members to join. This is very helpful for younger members who would like to have a passion for Rotary, a passion for doing good things in the community or around the world, but the dues structure may be a little bit steep for them. My club has implemented this, and we've been able to grow our membership by, in the last year and a half, 11 members. Not all because of the restricted or the reduced dues, but it gives our members an option to present our club as an option for some of these younger folks. The other thing that you can think about, which was covered in the slide deck, is mixing up your meetings a little bit. If having lunch is not what everybody wants to do, then think about options. When the weather gets nicer, going out and having you're meeting at a park, or maybe having one meeting a month as just a district social or a project, anything like that to kind of change things up and offer some flexibility. I've got more information that I'll be able to pass on to you besides these slides, that I'll hand that off to Shuri as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the public image chair, Jackie.
Lee, before you do that, you have a question on the chat from Jackie Dorothy.
Is that the?
She said, we
How
have
to-
we have a former member at law school, Mrs. Rotary. How would she sign up?
Oh, okay. Jackie, I will send you information on how to, I'll put that in the chat on how to get a hold of Robin or Julie, and they can reach out to her and help her sign up.
Sounds perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jackie.
So Jackie Dorothy is our public image chair, and she's from my home club of Bliss. We'll let Jackie get started talking to us about public image.
All right, well, I will jump right in. I'm Jackie Dorothy, Thermopolis, and Shuri has asked me to go ahead and be the public image chair. So I'm new to the position and kind of making it up as I go along. So what I did is I threw together a PowerPoint to kind of talk to you about an idea I had about some power hours and how to get your clubs involved in a way that's not overwhelming. And so first, a quick intro of who I am. I am a Rotarian since 2006, past president, program chair of Riverton Rotary. And my strength is storytelling. I love to tell stories, whether it's a fiction story, a kid's story, or telling the story about from a journalist point of view. My background is I was with Wyoming PBS. Then I went to News 13. A bureau chief is a fancy way of saying I did everything in Fremont County for the television station NBC. And then for many years, I was the marketing director for the Wind River Casino. I have transitioned and I do have my own business, Legend Rock Media Production, where we do ads and marketing. So being a public image chair is right up my alley. I'm excited to share with you guys some great ideas we have. So let's say skip that. So I did like this. What I did is I went onto a site that Rotary has. Cherie introduced it to me. It's Brand Center. And they have a lot of the things that we need to create this public image. And what we're doing is we're just going out to the world, and this goes hand in hand with membership. Together, we can show the world that we are people of action. We're doers. We're not just talkers when we join Rotary. At least that is the hope. So then what can Rotary be? Well, we need to introduce it to your community. You may think everybody knows about Rotary, but that's not always the case. And one of the things that Rotary wants to do, and I've encountered this in my own, because sometimes I can go off into the weeds or create my own look, but Rotary does want you to have consistency so people know that the Rotary Club in Lander is going to be the same one in Estes Park. So what we're looking at is having this continuity of a message, the same message. So we want to speak, write, and design in one voice. So our communication will sound the same, but we're going to be working on our own unique voice and kind of pick what is most important to our club. And Rotary really does give us a lot of tools that I wasn't even aware of. Oh, for instance, I didn't come up with any of this copy. I just went on the website, started digging around and found the things that resonate with me that I want to share. And ultimately, when you look at this, you got to know that even though people know Rotary exists, they don't always know what you're doing, what you stand for. And that's what your public image is about and why we're wanting to come together and work on that as a whole district and also as individual clubs. And it is important to tell your story. One of my favorite things to tell people, especially my clients, is if you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you, and they might not be telling it the way you want them to tell it. I know we've all seen that happen before. And you hear the saying about what is a brand, how important that is. It's more than just a logo. Yes, a logo can be important, but it's much bigger than that. It ties hand in hand to your public image about who people perceive you to be. You might see yourself as one thing and they might see you as another. And the goal is for you to say, no, this is who I am. Let me speak with my voice and tell you. And so it's our identity, our vision, it's everything about us. And that's what is important about getting your public image out there. Now, the way to get started, and I love this from Walt Disney, who's a great guy, is to quit talking and begin doing. And that's what we're talking about with this public image committee. In this public image, what we're going to be doing is coming together, and we're going to be doing power hours. Now, this isn't necessarily for you as the president. This is for your creatives. You have somebody that's great at storytelling. You have somebody that might just be great at talking. Get them involved, and this is the perfect way. Because what we're going to do, and I hope I got this right, Cherie, you might have to correct me because I did this off memory when I couldn't find my notes. But every third Wednesday at 2 p.m., we're going to have a power hour. And what's going to happen is from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we're actually going to come together in kind of a hybrid, where if you want in Thermopolis, if you're nearby, you can come join us in a room, or you can do this on Zoom. So you might say you're in Casper and several clubs want to come together, or 2 or 3 members of the same club want to come into the same area. That way you're not just completely on Zoom, but if you can't do that, Zoom is good. Again, a hybrid meeting. But these power hours are going to cover 5 different topics, cover 5 different months, and we're going to actually create stuff. We're not going to preach at you and talk to you. We're going to get our hands dirty and go into it. And so to cover what I was thinking about, and this is subject to change, but I thought these would be a way to get it started. Is the first one is going to be about what your club brand is. This is going to be going into the brand center that Rotary provides us, and also looking at who you are, because there's all these different templates that Rotary says, okay, these are the topics that are important. Education's important, so is water treatment. Which one is your club value the most? What do you want to concentrate on? When I was with Riverton Rotary, education was big. Especially when I first started back in 2006, they had the read to me and some other important projects that they are bringing back because they know that that's what their values are. This is what's important. They also sent off people to help with water treatment in Mexico. So what you need to do is, what is your focus? And we're going to spend an hour looking at this. Again, this is for your creatives. This is for the people who will be doing your messaging. And you're definitely welcome. Everyone's welcome to join, because these will be fun hours. The next month, we're going to be talking about your message. This is clarifying. This is not rambling on and getting lost in the weeds again. This is getting to the point, storytelling 101. And we're going to be doing your unique message that relates to Rotary as the whole. Public relations is important. This is about talking about cultivating relationships with journalists and employing the right tactics and tools to get the media coverage you need. Also using social media and doing the different things. How do you get your story out there? A great example is we had a German student come back to visit our club after years, 20, 30 years of being gone. And he came and did a presentation, and it was a great presentation about what he was doing since he left our club as an exchange student all those years ago. I invited the media to come over, and we got a newspaper story out of it. And it was great. Called him up and had a fun time. But it's just those opportunities that sometimes people who weren't in journalism, I know when I was a reporter, I was begging people for stories. You are going to have stories that are worth telling almost every time you have somebody come. I mean, maybe one of the media stories will be a call to people to come help my program chair. I need programs. Tell us about your business. Tell us about your cause. the next month, fourth Power Hour, is going to be about social media. Not just Facebook, but LinkedIn is actually a great source to get a club site on. To have, like you have your Facebook account, you could do a business account on LinkedIn. And then finally, we're going to get creative and use the Brand Center. They have everything you need to plug it in, create a brochure, a newsletter, whatever it is you want to do. So that's what I am envisioning as the public image chair, is to actually do projects and to engage and to have fun. And I guess I say that a lot because I have a 10-year-old boy, and that's what I always tell him: have fun. That's the mom's #1 rule. Now, this is a time to kind of reflect and think on your own club. Take your public image temperature. Do you have an active Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn? Does anyone in your club actually use your club's website? I know in ours, we did not like Club Runner, and not many people visited, except those that had to put in the information. In the public image, think about this. Is your community familiar with your club? They may know it exists, but do they really know what you're doing? That's something that you might be shocked to find out, that we held our club at this college. How many college students even knew about it? I know when I was a student and then working at PBS, that there was this Rotary Club. My boss was the president, but I had no idea. I thought it was just a bunch of people meeting together in this secret club. I didn't realize what it was about. And the last question to ask yourself: do you work regularly with your local media journalists? We live in a small state, Wyoming, Northern Colorado, the same way. There is ways to get to your media. And I don't just say the newspaper, I look at the radio. I just sent off a press release to our local radio station and they got it on the air. It's as simple as that. Believe me, again, looking at it from a journalist's point of view, I'm dying for good stories. And if you're going to give me a press release that I can just slap in, I'm happy with that. And then finally, just kind of the summary to sum it up is the Brand Center, what I was talking about, and we will send you this PowerPoint with the link in it. And it's a great way to kind of get a start for getting information to use as you put together your information and figure out what your messaging is. And then, like so many of us, if you don't have time, join us on the Power Hour, and you will find that when you walk away, you will have something in hand. So I think I kind of breezed through it. So if there's any questions, let me know. But that is about what I had. So let me stop the share.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you.
I did put the correction that it's the third Monday. You were so close, the third Monday at 2, but it's on the calendar. And if you don't have that, don't panic, or you don't have any way to print it or save it from your device that you're on right now. I will email that out when we send out the recording. So make sure that you open that recording because there'll be a lot of good stuff attached to it. Jackie, someone is asking if you can put your email, maybe you can just type it in the chat.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. Well, now I would love to introduce our new visioning chair. His name is Dale Malady, and he comes from the Casper 5 Trails Club. Dale, would you like to give us an update on what the district is doing for visioning?
Sure, thanks, Sheree. Several years ago, there was recognition at both the RI and our district level that there were pretty major inconsistencies between clubs in terms of how we handle goal setting, strategic planning, visioning, and a recognition that good planning, goal setting, and a kind of a self-assessment practices are all common traits amongst successful organizations, all the way from Fortune 500 companies all the way down to small service clubs. Absent good planning, organizations tend to stagnate. Hey, we're not sure what to do, so let's just keep doing what we've been doing. Or conversely, they're subject to wild changes in directions from year to year as the leadership changes. And these issues are particularly important to Rotary clubs because we change out our entire leadership structure every year. And other than some really poorly run professional sports franchises, you can't point to another organization that's successful, that changes out its leadership year to year. That's why goal setting and planning and self-assessments are so important for Rotary. District 5440, we have a number of clubs that have really strong, robust annual processes that are part of what their clubs do, where they talk about goals, they talk about action plans, they look at their membership, they look at their foundation contributions, and they develop action plans to follow through. We have other clubs that tend to do this every few years, every 2, 3, maybe 5 years. But we have a lot of clubs who don't do it at all. It's just not ingrained in part of their processes. And they've struggled to even figure out how to start this process. So the District 5440 leadership team and several years ago recognized this and made it an area of focus. And hats off to the district governor team for really making that recognition. So as a result, Mountain Sage Consulting, which is Mark Holt and Leslie Glover, Rotarians from the Estes Valley Sunrise Club, made a presentation at last year's spring assembly that reflected their experience as consultants, as well as their experiences facilitating planning sessions within their own club and some work they did with the Cheyenne Rotary Club. The presentation was focused on a very complex and robust framework that clubs could follow to complete a full planning cycle, plus embed a focus on planning into their yearly club processes. And following that, several clubs have implemented or are in the process of implementing that new process, and all of them are reporting very good discussions and really a high level of new energy and focus for their clubs. But if you think about where we were during last year's spring assembly, we were just going into the middle of the initial COVID restrictions and lockdowns. We had an awful lot of clubs that were struggling to figure out how they were even going to meet, how they were going to be relevant, how they were going to even function as a Rotary club. So as we emerge into the post-COVID environment that we're all so excited that we can finally see on the horizon, it's more critical than ever that our clubs have robust discussions about what we want to be as a club, about what our aspirations are, and about where we stand in terms of membership, in terms of foundation, in terms of how we're meeting the needs of our community. We need to have conversations about how we're going to meet. Are we just automatically going to go back to weekly meetings? We're going to continue to do hybrid. Our club's talking about doing one virtual meeting a month in order to help control costs, which is an issue for some of our members. But we need to have these conversations. Let's not just revert back to what we were doing before automatically. The district governor team a year ago recognized the need for a more streamlined process, that the work that Mark and Leslie had done was fantastic, but it was probably a bridge too far for many of our clubs, that we needed a simple, few-step process to help these clubs get their legs back underneath them, get re-energized, refocused, and get on track again. So we engaged Mark and Leslie to develop this kind of Reader's Digest condensed version of the planning process for Rotary clubs. The district has invested a lot of time and energy to train a number of people to help clubs facilitate and implement this new process, with the expectation that every club will, going forward, do some sort of planning as part of their club functions. There's not an expectation that every club's going to use this new process. If you've got a good, robust process that's part of what your club does, keep doing what you're doing. If you're one of the clubs that implemented the framework from the spring assembly a year ago, fantastic. That's great. But if you're not, if it's something your club hasn't done, we encourage everybody to grab a hold of this new framework and give it a try. And you can expect that it'll be a focus of conversations with your district governor and your assistant governor during your club visits. Now, we weren't going to roll out this new process without giving it a test drive. So I talked to my club, the Casper 5 Trails Club, into being the guinea pigs. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon now, who's the president-elect for Casper 5 Trails, and he can talk about his experience and how the process has kind of worked from his view, and then we'll answer any questions anybody has. Brandon?
All right, thanks, Dale. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, I'm trying these new cordless headphones for the first time, so I wasn't sure how they would work. So our club has experienced or had a great experience with this planning process. Dale had a really organized presentation for us and explained each one of the different stages that we'd be going through, and then presented that, and then followed it up with some Google Forms to solicit information from folks. And then he organized it and then presented that in the next session. And the nice thing for the president, for me coming in as president next year, is it really helped narrow our focus on what we wanted to work on for the next year. You know, we've had a few projects that have maybe kind of run their course, and it helped us to re-identify which what our areas are that we want to work on. So the major areas for us were food insecurity, poverty and homeless assistance, and youth programs. And then from there, we've worked with all of these different groups. We had a whole list to choose from to decide which ones we wanted to work with moving into the next year. And we got the entire club who was at these sessions actually involved in this. And it also, the great thing about it was, even though it was still on Zoom, because we hadn't gone back to live meetings yet, it was a way that folks could interact and have some input into the program, rather than just kind of do the sit and get program that we've, you know, kind of become a little bit accustomed to with Zoom, since we're all in our own respective areas. So for me, it will help me decide what our few goals will be moving into the next year, with really timely input from our folks in the club.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. I really appreciate you letting everybody know how it went for you. I think that's all the presentations that we have tonight. Do you guys have questions of any of our presenters? If you do, raise your digital hand kind of takes you to the top of the list, but even just waving your physical hand would be great. I see Sherry Witt has a question. Sherry?
No, I was just giving kudos to a great session. So that was it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to all of our district leadership folks that have stepped up into these roles. I think I have the very best team that has ever served District 5440, and you guys are going to be fantastic. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. And I also wanted to say thank you to all of the facilitators from our district that stepped up to help run High Country Pets, because I think we definitely have a higher proportion from our district than anywhere else, and they all do a fantastic job. And I know several of them are here, so thank you to them as well. If nobody has any questions, then I'd just like to remind you to please take the survey about visioning if you haven't already done it. That will really help. That'll really help us to figure out where we're at and start making progress towards that. So is there anything?
Glenda had a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see. How do we get the process and how does it work with visioning? So yeah, well, what'll happen now is we just have to start assigning facilitators and working with each club individually. So it's really going to be tailored to your specific club, and it's going to be on your club's timeline. So it might be different for everybody, just because it's really not a universal process. I think sometimes we get ourselves into trouble when we try to make the glove fit every single hand, and it's just not that kind of glove. So it really will be tailored by your facilitator and by us to your club specifically. So we'll reach out to each president-elect specifically, but we'll also be talking about it at next week's session. So tune in next week and we'll talk about it a little bit more and kind of get into the weeds with it. But that's kind of where we're at. Are there other questions?
And that's why filling out that survey is so important as well.
Right. Yeah, because that's going to help us match you up with a facilitator.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all so very much for giving up your evening tonight. I really appreciate it. And I think we've got a fantastic team here. So we all look forward to working with you over this year.
Bye,
Have
everybody.
a great night, everyone.